So welcome to this episode of the podcast. Today I've got Valerie Smith joining me, very kindly coming to talk about essential oils for pregnancy and birth. Welcome, Valerie.
Well, thank you, Erin, for inviting me. I feel very honoured.
Oh, you're welcome. Would you like to give a little intro about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So my main business is a yoga teacher, and I specialise in pregnancy and postnatal. I've been teaching it really beyond that as well. So pregnancy all the way through with mummy and baby, and then I teach mostly mums and ladies seem to be coming to my class, and through that I've become involved in the essential oils because I started off thinking it could be a really nice thing to integrate into my classes. I quite like when I was in person with people, I liked to have a nice ambience going on, lighting, and had lovely props, and that was my thinking that I could start to introduce the oils into the class. I've got a scientific background. I did a scientific degree in pharmacology way back, and then worked as a scientist for 4 years before actually then became an accountant I still am an accountant, but that was my next career. I had 3 careers. And then went into the yoga once my children were born. So I think it's similar to you, Erin, having a bit of a career change.
Yeah.
So I have a bit of an interest in the oils from a scientific point of view because of my original career. I worked in the pharmaceutical industry, and the oils, many of the drugs that I was working with and that we use are derived from plants, and the plants have effects in our body to change how we feel and medicinally. So I then, from being interested in having it in my class, started to use them in my own life, and it just snowballed from there. So I had a lot of allergies and little issues going on, so the oils really helped with all of that, and I became quite a natural advocate. So cleared out my medicine cabinet and my cleaning products, and it's all quite natural now. So that's a very quick run through of why I'm involved. So sorry, I should say also, after using the oils in my own life and in my business, I decided to get involved in sharing the oils. I use a very specific brand. It's called doTERRA. They are the biggest essential oil company in the world at the moment. They're only about 10 years old, but they have snowballed all around the world. They're used quite a lot in America and Australia. They're starting to become bigger here in Europe. And I just really liked the brand, really resonated with it. They're very good quality. So I decided to actually share the oils as a part of my business as well. So that was a bit of a path there.
doTERRA oils before, because I think that's one thing actually that I wanted to ask you is about sort of safety with oils, because it's so easy to go online, isn't it, and search for essential oils and end up buying something which is potentially not very good quality, or could be, mixed with all sorts of other different oils and things. So should people who are looking to buy essential oils, what should they be looking for? And obviously doTERRA is a good brand, but what are the dangers of buying oils that haven't been sort of certified or researched?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and what I would suggest is that not to buy anything off Amazon, for example, because you don't know what you're buying, and unfortunately there's no regulation around this industry, and a lot of the oils that are perhaps a cheaper price point, shall we say, aren't completely pure, so they could be adulterated in some sort of way. So for example, they could be diluted, so some sort of carrier oil added to it, or adulterated in that they've got synthetic fillers in there or synthetic fragrance. and you can tell the difference. So if you were to have a lemon oil, for example, the doTERRA one, or orange, it just smells like a lemon that you've smelled in Italy, or orange, and but if you open and you compare it to some of those cheaper ones, it does smell a little bit. My nose is a bit honed to it now, so I can almost seek it out. So yeah, you will find that there's really cheap oils. And so, for example, frankincense is one of the most revered oils, very expensive. If you're going into a pharmacy and getting it for £3, then I would suggest that it's not a good brand. And what doTERRA is what they are different in that they actually scientifically test and put the oils through a lot of rigorous standards. So they say that they put each bottle through 25 different tests to ensure that what you're getting in the bottle is 100% pure plant oil. And they have their own sort of tag for that. They call it Certified Therapeutic Pure Grade CPTG. It's on all of the bottles. And in fact, on each bottle, there you maybe can't see this, but can you see the little number on the bottom? Each bottle has a number, and they have a website called Source to You, and it's got various things about the sourcing and the sustainability of the oils, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But each bottle, you can plug in the number and it will tell you the constituents within it. It's like a sort of, they call it a gas chromatography, and it has little spikes, and that tells you all the different constituents. A lot of them will be quite chemically names, but you could certainly look them up, and you will see that it's just the natural constituent that's within the plant. And what else I was going to say is that doTERRA are quite an ethical company. That's quite important to me as well. So they work very closely with the original growers, the artisan growers and farmers that have been growing some of these plants for hundreds of years. A lot of these cheaper oils, that there'll be some sort of middleman that will be ripping off the farmers. So doTERRA is big into that sustainability aspect too. So is that enough for what you were
yeah, it's really interesting. I wouldn't have thought about the ethical and sustainability side of things actually, but it makes sense. When we're thinking about selecting food and things, we think about fair trade, but we don't think about fair trade for other things. So,
and just one other thing around that as well, what you'll find is like lavender, it's one of the most popular ones. So there'll be what could be happening in America. doTERRA is an American company, but some of the cheaper brands, it's just like crops that they would have grow lavender in a random place and then spray it with pesticide, and it's actually natural. Whereas doTERRA goes to the place in the world where lavender is best grown, in the soil that it's been grown in for hundreds of years. So Bulgaria is where they get the lavender. I think that the lemons come from Sicily. The frankincense comes from Africa. So it's all where it should be grown rather than it's sort of almost being farmed. If you large farming. I can't think of the word, but you hopefully sustainable fair trade.
Okay. So what exactly are essential oils? Because you kind of said they're plant oils, but how do they make them? What are they?
This is really super interesting. So the oils can come from lots of different areas of the plant. So they can come from the seeds, or the leaves, or the bark, or the peel or the stem. So like the orange and the lemon comes from the peel. And we've got lots of tree oils that come from the barks, and the little like Douglas fir, like they have the little pine needles, and the oils are extracted from those parts of the plants. And they're the molecules that give plants their aroma. But they also have many other aspects in that they guard the plants from sun damage, from insects, they repel insects. they resist attacks from like fungus and microbes, and they also heal any damage in the plants. So those effects that they have in the plants, they can have within us as well. So it's quite synergistic to plant to human, which is quite nice. And it's just a natural way to support your body. And yeah, so I hope that's enough to explain it. But what's so nice about these oils is that this knowledge, it's not new. People have been using essential oils for centuries. And you know, we're tapping into that now, and people are becoming more interested in it again. Yeah. So
which essential oils are safe to use in pregnancy? Because I know when I'm doing my hypnobirthing course, and when I get to any point where I talk about aromatherapy and essential oils, I'm not an expert, so I always caveat anything I say with the message that they need to speak to somebody who knows about essential oils if they're pregnant, because I know some essential oils aren't suitable to use in pregnancy and they aren't safe.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of the information that you're going to potentially read online there's a lot of mixed information, so it can be quite confusing. And what a lot of that data and information is written for all oil users. So we're talking about all of the oils that we mentioned earlier with all the different stuff in them. So obviously they have to caveat that to say that they might not be safe. And it's all around the purity. So that's why we're reassured by the standards that doTERRA sets. So I would say that there's only a couple that are absolute no-nos really during pregnancy. I don't know if you want me to talk about those.
Yes, please. Yeah.
So and they're not bad. They're just the reason. So clary sage, and I know I did send you this, May. So jasmine as well. So they are really useful in starting contractions. So obviously we wouldn't want to be using them until we went into labour. So they're very calming and relaxing. They're brilliant to get contractions going if they're stalling, but we wouldn't want to use them preterm. And then the other oil that I would suggest not to use is later on, it's the opposite, is peppermint, because that can inhibit lactation. So peppermint's not one towards the end of pregnancy that we would consider, but a great one earlier on in pregnancy. So those are the only three that out of doTERRA's oils that I suggest. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I do mention the clary sage to my clients, and I personally I've used it myself as well. So when I had my my second child, my waters released and my contractions didn't start. So I used a mixture of my husband manipulating my feet, the pressure points in my feet, so a bit of reflexology, and massaging the clary sage oil into the pressure points in my feet, and that it really did help. It helps get my surges going again, so it does work.
Because my children are 9 and 7, and I wasn't really into it. I was into yoga and meditation and hypnobirthing, but I unfortunately it was before I started using the oils. So yeah, it's shortly after I had Callum that I started to get into it. Yeah. What I wanted to say, and I didn't want to alarm anyone, but one of the reasons that I really started to connect with this around my children who were actually born when I started using them was that I started to read about a lot of the products that we use around the home. So cleaning products, personal care. I was a personal care junkie. I don't know about you. Makeup, slathering all these things on our body and spraying around. There's quite a lot of chemicals within those products. We're talking about safety that are actually quite toxic to our system.
Mm.
And there's a really interesting website. It's called the Environmental Working Group, EWG. They're based in California, and they've done studies on actually on umbilical cord postpartum to see what sort of chemicals are contained within the umbilical cord, and they found up to 200 chemicals had transferred from the mother through into the baby. So that I think that's unbelievable. We do know that the baby is taking on what we are, but I hadn't appreciated that just putting on a cream or some makeup would potentially work its way through. So I'm not meaning that as an alarmist, it's more as an empowerment piece to understand that actually all of this stuff around us, and I started to think, oh God, my children are breathing this stuff in the shower, you know. Yeah.
It's a good point though, because I mean, we all know that we're not supposed to dye our hair when we're pregnant because of the chemicals, but then we don't apply the same logic to creams and, you know, even cleaning products and, you know, all the other things that we kind of surround ourselves with, even candles. You know, candles are a real culprit with diffusing all sorts of artificial chemicals and smells into the room. So, yeah.
And I just touched on the fact that I had allergies, and I actually was beginning to think I'm allergic to my house, and I didn't understand anything about this really. And I can give you lots of reading to go and learn more if you wish to, but I had those reed diffusers. I think they're from Next, and they smelled really nice, but I worked out that it was those that were making me sneeze and making my eyes itchy. As soon as I got rid of them, it was gone. So that's the other benefit of the essential oils. So they're not just the aroma. So the aroma, you could make the aroma in your house. So here I've got, you won't see this, but this is my diffuser. So I've got some oils in there. So that's the way that I scent my home. Mm-hmm. And don't have any candles anymore, and you're getting the benefits physiologically from the oils as well. And I make some of my own cleaning products, and you can make your own body. It's really easy to buy shea butter, vitamin E, like carrier oils, and you can use that to massage into the belly or to massage into the legs if you're feeling dry skin or whatever. Mm-hmm. So easy to use naturally in your life. Mm-hmm. I've found that about 80 to 90% of my needs around the house can be fulfilled just using the oils. So they've replaced a lot of stuff. Mm. So that was a bit of a tangent there.
That's interesting, thank you. May, did you have any questions you wanted to ask Valerie?
Yeah, I think one question that we had was, how can we have the diffuser on all day? Or is it like a set time? Because I normally do it at night because obviously, you know, listening to the hypnobirthing script and then putting the lavender on just as smooth. But can we have it on the whole day? Is that allowed, or is that too much?
So there are schools of thought that there is a sort of, you could, it's not going to be dangerous, but they do say that within 30 minutes to an hour, you're sort of getting those benefits. So any longer than that's not going to make much of a difference. So when I was thinking about some examples of using the oils in pregnancy, so 30 minutes before bed would be a great, you wouldn't need to keep it on all night. However, I was thinking about if anyone had any respiratory, you know, you sort of find that breathing really hard when you're pregnant. We've got a really nice blend that helps to open the airways, so you could have that on at night. But 2 or 3 times a day, I would say, with different types of oils. No, you don't need to have it on all day. So 30 minutes to an hour is absolutely perfect. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the diffusers are really good actually. I use them with my children because they both have asthma.
Yeah.
2 of them have asthma, and they get chest infections very easily. Yeah. So putting some essential oils in the diffuser and putting that in their room really, really helps over the winter.
that was when my husband had the eureka moment with it all, because the blend that I'll show you here, this one here, it's called Air. That's what I was going to suggest for ladies to use if they were struggling to get the breath at night when they're sleeping. That's great for any sniffles, opening the airways. You get a lot of congestion in pregnancy, also with babies as well. I use it all the time with my two. It's brilliant. So, and yeah, I put the diffuser on in Callum's room because he often gets a cough in the winter, and it's so he was coughing, and we were just starting with the oils, and I thought, I might just diffuse that in his room, and he'd been coughing for a couple of nights. It was really annoying and kept us awake, and then within 5 minutes stopped, and my husband was like, oh my god. So that was his eureka moment. These are great, these work. We don't have to put Vicks Vapor Rub on his chest anymore. So.
Well, it probably smells a lot nicer than the Vapor Rub as well, because it's quite strong, isn't it, Vapor Rub?
I know.
Yeah. May, did you have another question you wanted to ask?
Yeah, I've got a friend who's just in her first trimester, and she's really struggling with morning sickness. And her husband approached me because obviously he didn't have any other friends that he could approach who wasn't pregnant and going through the same thing. So he kind of approached me and said, how was your first trimester? And I was really confused. I was like, is there something that you want to tell me? Like, is your wife pregnant? And that's when he said, like, yes, she is. And she's really struggling, and she can't like hold down her food and all that. So I did recommend like the gingers and the sour dates that we kind of eat in our culture. But he's struggling to find stuff like that, or she's not enjoying those either, or it's not working. So I kind of mentioned about essential oils. So I did, so that's my question. Like, what essential oil blend would you recommend for?
So it's mentioned ginger, and that we do have a ginger oil, and then the other ones that I would suggest are peppermint. So you would have a peppermint tea, wouldn't you, if you were having any digestive problems? So peppermint, it is the peppermint oil that doTERRA offers. It's something like, I've written it down here. It's 50 times more powerful than the herb. So it's super intense and strong. So you can even, I've got my peppermint here, even just opening it and just taking a little sniff might be enough for your friend, just to give her a little bit of relief, because it is quite a strong smell. And then I don't have this oil, but cardamom is very similar to ginger, and that would be another one. And so what I would suggest with those is either you're aromatically smelling them, so putting them in the diffuser, or just opening the bottle and sniffing it. Spearmint is slightly milder than peppermint, and again, we have that in gums, don't we, and things like that. So it's another good one. And then we do a blend. We, as in doTERRA, do a blend. It's called, I hope you can see that, Zen Jest. So this is a blend, and I'll just call out what's in it. So we've got peppermint and ginger and caraway, coriander, tarragon, fennel, and also anise. So this is, a lot of the blends have very specific uses, and this is they call it the tummy tamer blend. So it's really a great way to naturally soothe any digestive upset. So those would be the oils I would recommend. You could, so I've mentioned smelling them, and also you could apply them topically. So she could apply them to her belly or wherever it is she's feeling discomfort. One of the things that makes doTERRA different from other oils is that we do take them internally. Certain oils, so she could take some of these in a tea, for example, a drop. Less is more, so you would be really mindful with this and go really slowly. But one of the things that you could do, and this is quite an inch, you could just take her finger to the edge of the bottle and just put it on her tongue and it's quite strong. You can feel or to the roof of the mouth, and that could give her a bit of relief. Without, if I'd known about this, I had awful morning sickness with both of mine, and I was trying to nibble on ginger biscuits.
Yeah, that's what she likes. Definitely, thank you for that. I'll definitely pass those on to her and say, like, if you're interested.
She's so welcome to call me for a chat, May.
Yeah, I will definitely pass both of you guys' details to her, because I obviously really benefited from both the stuff that you guys have provided me. So yeah, I'm definitely going to pass on those messages. Pass on the love. Share the love.
In first trimester, I mean, it's a time when the body is getting used to all of the changes that are happening. I don't tend to recommend from a yoga perspective that ladies do yoga in first trimester, because we've got that connection of the fetus with the uterus, so we can feel really tired. So it's and also smells can be strange. So it's just whatever resonates with you, and you could go for some calming oils as well. Wild orange is really calming, and we have a lovely blend called Balance, which is very grounding. So those would be two good oils for her, just to allow her to rest and relax. Yeah, because lavender could be quite strong, I think. Yeah.
It's interesting, the doTERRA, because my doula that I used with my second pregnancy, she uses doTERRA oils as well, and she mentioned that you can take them internally, but not all essential oils from like other brands can be consumed, can they? Because specifically, if you don't know how pure they are, they're not safe, and they wouldn't be advisable to be consumed.
And I mean, I am very careful with that, and I tend to stick to the oils like that we would potentially eat as fruits or herbs anyway. So that's my sort of feeling, that if it's something that I would consume, like a lemon, then I do put a drop of lemon in my water. And that's the other thing I was going to say, May, that some of the oils could be quite nice in her water, because that lemon is a really nice digestive cleanser. So just one drop in a really large, those big chili bottles, one drop in that, and it just gives the water a bit of a nicer taste. Grapefruit's another good one. There's one called green mandarin. It's delicious. It just helps to change the water if you're feeling a little bit, yeah.
Might try that myself, actually, because I'm the worst person in the world for drinking water, and having something might it seems silly to make it taste more palatable, because water doesn't have a taste, but I just struggle drinking water because it has no taste.
I know. I lemon, and I love grapefruit as well.
Yeah.
So that could be another suggestion that might just make her feel a bit more energized, because the citrus oils are really uplifting and energizing. So that's a good one for first trimester to boost the energy.
So how much should they be using when you're using the essential oils? Obviously, I'm guessing it changes depending on whether you're massaging it or smelling it or consuming it. But what is the kind of right amount to be using?
So the diffuser that I've got. So the one way aromatically. So when we're diffusing in. So what I will just say firstly is, if you're listening, you won't see this, but I've got my doTERRA diffuser here, which just basically has water in it, and normally add 2 to 3 drops of an oil to that, and that is enough. And that's the other thing you'll notice with a cheaper oil. You'll have to add loads in, and it might not last as long because it's not as pure. So you really don't need very much. That's why it is actually quite cost effective, because one bottle has about, I believe, 280 drops in it, and you're only needing 2 or 3. So you're going to keep that oil for quite a few years, even though the investment in it, some oils are cheaper than others. In terms of the dilution ratio for applying to the skin. That's something that I don't know exactly off the top of my head, but you could go from 1 in 10 if you're just sort of starting really small. So you would do drop to amount of carrier oil. So for example, let me show you this. This is a little roller ball. So for those that aren't watching, I'm showing a little 10 ml roller ball. And this has been diluted. This is peppermint, and it's got perhaps 10 drops of peppermint, and then it's filled up 10 mils to the top. Mm-hmm. So there are charts that will tell you how to do this. Mm-hmm. So, they'll be different for pregnancy, for babies, for children, for adults. So they do have all those things available. I can't tell you exactly off the top of my head. And you would be diluting, definitely applying to the body, you are definitely diluting it in a carrier oil. Mm-hmm. Lots of carrier oils out there. doTERRA use, it's called fractionated coconut oil, which is a liquefied coconut oil. Mm-hmm. The reason they use that is it's got no smell, it doesn't stain, it's very light, it goes into the body really easily. So yeah, it's a great one to use. Mm-hmm. And actually, believe it or not, the little oil molecules are quite volatile and small, and the carrier oil molecules are bigger, so they sort of hold the oil molecules, and when you apply them with the carrier, it helps to drive them through the skin and into the bloodstream. So yeah, it's good to dilute, especially in pregnancy. Dilute. Yeah. But anyone that's interested in they want to have a chat, I can give them all the ratios. Mm-hmm. It's super easy. You just basically put the drops in and then add the carrier oil. Yeah.
So we've talked about oils that you should avoid using in pregnancy, and you mentioned peppermint and clary sage. But are there any other oils that you could potentially use during birth?
Yeah. So I was thinking about this, all of the different things that we could have. So one of the and I can talk about other little issues that you might have in pregnancy that they might help. So during your birth, you've got, as we mentioned, jasmine and clary sage, which are really good at maintaining nice contractions as you experienced, Erin. And then you're sort of, there's other oils that can also do the same. So you've got geranium. So interestingly, they're 3 floral oils, and they actually in menopause are used hormonally for PMS. They're very linked into hormones, and obviously contractions are initiated by hormone release. So any hormonal oils are great. So geranium. And also what's great about those 3 oils, they will help with the contraction, but they're also very calming. And we know that when we're giving birth, we need to be in that calm state, and they'll help reduce tension. So they're really helpful for that. In terms of your emotions, I'm going to go back to the 2 that I'm diffusing today, which is that grounding blend, balance, and wild orange. So wild orange is like a happy oil. It just makes you feel really good. And those 2 together will help dispel any anxious feelings. And they're my favourites, I have to say. I use balance every day. So those would be great for emotional benefits. In terms of discomfort, so two oils that could be great for putting on the lower back. Haven't used this myself, but I have heard that basil, herbal oil, and black pepper actually. I've had a massage with black pepper and it was super nice, I remember. Diluted on the lower back is going to help to ease discomfort in labour. And we've got a couple of blends that are really good for soreness in the body. We have Deep Blue, this little bottle here, Deep Blue, which is sort of smells like deep heat, but it's natural. So it literally helps it's great for joint pain or muscle pain. And I'm using it on my back at the moment because I've got a little back injury, and it literally dispels the pain. And along with, this is the massage blend. It's called Aroma Touch. It's a lovely blend to help release any tension in the muscles. So those applied diluted to the body would be great. Yeah. And I was going to say one more. So perineum massage, lavender, geranium, and an oil called helichrysum, which you've probably never heard of, but you might have heard of the flower that is from, which is the immortelle flower.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of it? It's like apparently it's in a lot of skincare.
Okay.
So helichrysum is very healing. So that's actually a good one postnatally for healing as well. It's quite an expensive oil,
mm-hmm.
but you wouldn't need very much, but you could make up a little mixture with a carrier oil to apply to the perineum area during labour. So those are my top tips. That's quite a lot to remember, but yeah.
It's fantastic. It's a lot more there's a lot more there than I was expecting, actually, because I only really knew about clary sage and lavender. So it's interesting that there's quite a few different oils that could have different uses at different stages. Is interesting.
Yeah, and what also I had written down here. So I'd written down body discomfort. So I've gone through those. Cypress, which is a tree. I had an amazing result with one of my clients with this. This is Cypress. It's really good for swelling. So it literally helps to that the edema that you get in pregnancy. My client Sarah, she still comes to my yoga classes. Her ankles were really so uncomfortable, and her poor little feet were totally swollen up. And she said, "Can you help me?" And she just diluted Cypress in carrier and was applying it to her feet, and really helped to reduce the swelling. So that's a great one, along with the Deep Blue and the Aroma Touch for discomfort. So they're great.
Cypress oil is also really good for healing.
Yeah.
I had a episiotomy first time round. Second time round, I had a tear. And I used very, very, very diluted, because Cypress oil is quite strong, I think, but I diluted it quite a lot, and bathed my perineum and the wound with the diluted Cypress oil and water, and it helped my my tear heal up very, very quickly.
I suppose there would have been inflammation and swelling, so that's what that oil does, and it really, really works.
Yeah.
So the other ones I was thinking about, so that's loads of oils for the birthing, but also I was thinking about, I did mention this, so diffusing some of the respiratory oils next to the bed if you're struggling with breathing. What sleep was the other thing. Yeah, so there are quite a few oils that are really great to help us sleep. There's lavender's a good one, but there's quite a lot of very calming oils that help to initiate that calming response in the brain. So you could use those also in in your birthing space, or in the evening when you're going to sleep. Yeah, skin was the other one. Sorry, I keep going. I could go all night.
Keep going, it's interesting.
But there's quite a lot of oils that are really good for just keeping our skin nice and healthy, and that's really important, because sometimes women get pigmentation, they get stretching. I had horrendous pulling on my son was 10 pounds 4 and he was huge. And I've got quite a long body, but it was huge, and my belly was just like, oh, I can't take anymore. So frankincense is great because it helps with scars, stretch marks, healings. It regenerates the cells in the skin. It's a great oil. So that could be, doTERRA do a really nice natural body butter. And the one that I used to slather all over me was the Neal's Yard Mother's Balm, which is, if you try that, mate, it's brilliant. It really helped my itchiness, but you could add the oils into that because it's very natural. And the other helichrysum also, same, yeah, I've put grapefruit here. I'm thinking that's just to stimulate the skin. Yeah, I've put that down, but I would go for more lavender, frankincense, that sort of thing. Yeah. So, yeah, and in terms of the sleeping, you could just put a drop of the oil on your blanket or your duvet or on your pillow, or you could, as you were suggesting, it may diffuse it 30 minutes before bed. The other thing that I always say to all my clients is, if it feels comfortable to lie in a bath, an Epsom salts bath, because magnesium is really relaxing for the muscles. If you also add the oils in, you're getting the sort of double whammy of the relaxation, calming, along with the Epsom salts. So what I do is add the Epsom salts in a cup and put the oils in the cup. If you add the oils directly into the water, they can burn off with the heat, so you don't dip them directly in the water. So that's a great one. You could, I suppose you could do that during birthing, couldn't you? Do you recommend baths, Erin?
Yeah, definitely. It's water is a really good comfort measure, which is why the birthing pools are so fantastic for giving birth in. Obviously, you wouldn't have the Epsom salts or maybe the oils in the birthing pool, but in the early stages of labour, definitely you could use those in a warm bath to help you kind of relax and get the oxytocin flowing. Definitely.
I mean, the diffuser is such an easy thing to have for the environment of giving birth, because it's just there in the background. You could have that could be one of the jobs for a partner, to set the diffuser up. There's lots of nice little bags. You can have your roller balls, because these diluted roller balls are great. There's quite a lot of them that are pre-diluted, so they're a little bit cheaper. And then you would be able to roll it on the back, or you just make them up and they're all ready to go, so you can bring them in your little bag if you're going to hospital. Yeah, helps to make the environment nicer.
Anything that's going to get you relaxed and get the oxytocin flowing is going to be a good thing, isn't it? So
yeah, totally.
Maybe do you have any other questions that you wanted to ask Valerie?
I think the next one I had was, what should I pack post giving birth? Because I know that online a lot of people said the witch hazel pads that you put in the, I don't know, on the maternity pads. So obviously those are chemically, I'm assuming the witch hazel, you can get the natural ones, because I was just wondering whether there's anything else that could substitute for that, rather than using those witch hazel pads where I don't really know what the contents of those chemically are.
Just like a pad for healing a certain body.
Yeah.
Yes.
Liam, isn't it? And put them. Yeah.
I think we mentioned the helichrysum. I mean, it is one of the more expensive oils. I'm just trying to think what other ones would be useful. Lavender. Lavender is it is calming in terms of our mind and brain, but it is also very calming for the skin and the body. So I always suggest lavender for cuts or scratches or bites. So lavender is great. And also tea tree oil, which is very safe, the doTERRA one, and you can use it as, it's like a antiseptic. We all know that we used to have those spot creams with the tea tree oil in. So that's a great one. But I can do more research on that if you want a specific blend. But those are the oils that come to mind, those three. We always say lavender is all things calming. And it's for afterwards, I mean, you're wanting to be finding those oils that are just going to relax the system again. So we're going back to balance and wild orange for those anxious feelings, and to support you emotionally so that you feel calm, and just very gentle oils. So wild orange would definitely be one, and then some of the floral oils. So I've got these lovely roller balls here, and these are very calming. So we've got rose oil and neroli, and also, oh, I've got the wrong one there. Yeah, here it is, jasmine again. So those floral oils, you can roll them on the chest, on the neck, then you'll breathe them in, and they're so gentle. If you had baby here, they're going to be breathing that in as well, and it's going to calm baby too. So yeah, something really nice and supportive for you, I would say.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you've got your respiratory blend air. That's going to be great to be diffusing if your baby's got any sniffles. Lavender, just on your, you can just apply it to the body and it will calm you, it will calm baby as well. Yeah. So
Thank you.
Did you have any other questions, May?
No, I think those are the key ones that I had. Thank you.
Was there anything else that you wanted to cover, Valerie?
Oh, let's have a quick look to see if I think I've gone over all of the oils pretty much. Oh, there's one other one that I haven't talked about, which is an unusual one. It's that I hadn't heard of until doTERRA released it. It's called copaiba, and it's a really interesting one. It's from I'm sorry if that's my computer beeping.
Don't worry.
I've got my WhatsApp on my computer, and I'm just going to get rid of it so that you're still here. Good. It's really got so many benefits, this oil. It's from a plant from Brazil, but the way it acts in our brain, it acts on these receptors in the brain called the cannabinoid receptors, which is actually where cannabis attaches in our brain to have elicit that, you know, we hear no cannabis is that calming type effect. However, there's two different types of receptors in the brain, CB1 and CB2, and now I cannot remember because one of them has the psychoactive effects. I think CBD oil acts on that one too, but this oil acts on the other one, which has the calming effects but not the psychoactive effects. So it's a really interesting oil, but it is so good to calm. It's good for inflammation. It's good for low respiratory. So this oil combined with all of the oils that I've mentioned, diffusing, it just sort of brings everything together, and it will just help everything work better. So this is a great one to have. But
what's the name again? Sorry.
It's called copaiba.
Copaiba. Oh, okay.
I take this quite a lot. I actually take this one internally if I'm feeling very anxious. Not that happens too much these days, but I just actually just take a drop on my tongue. And I used to be quite nervous flying. So if I'm flying, I use balance, copaiba, and it helps make the flight a lot nicer for me.
Lots of different uses.
But what I was going to say is, you know, these are natural answers and they're really easy to use. You do have to do a bit of reading, but it's so much fun. And it's a real tool of empowerment to help us as we grow and give birth, but also once we have our children, because it's such a sweet way to connect to our babies and our children, and all the way up, because we're with the oils, we're touching our bumps and our babies, and yeah, it just brings us a lot of empowerment and love, I feel. So yeah, it's and I've got a couple of quotes if you afford me a few more minutes, which are really nice. So as this is quite informed self-care, we are just being responsible for our own health through using these oils. I really like these two quotes. So this one is a Chinese proverb, and it says, "When sleeping women wake, mountains move." And I love that because I feel like there's a lot of women are using these and sort of realizing, yes, there's this whole world out there. And then a Maya Angelou quote, and she says, "Do the best you can until you know better, and then when you know better, do better." I love that one too.
It's nice. Thank you so much, Valerie. It's been really, really interesting. I've learnt loads, And I'm gonna have to get in touch with you to buy some oils now, because I can think of lots of different uses.
Anyone that's listening, don't do this alone. So what I would say is, if you, I should probably say how you can get the oils if you want to get the doTERRA oils.
Yes,
contact me, and I do offer, May and I had quite a detailed chat. I offer lots of chats, one-to-ones, and then you're not left alone once you buy the oils. I have got a Facebook group, and there's lots of support and education. So it's not like you buy them and you're left alone. You've got me as your contact to guide you through. So that's the other difference with doTERRA. It's a bit of a community going on as well. So
thank you. I'll have to make sure I when I upload the podcast episode, I'll make sure I put all of your details on there, so that if anybody listening wants to get in contact with you, they can do.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. It's been really interesting. You're a font of knowledge with the essential oils, and it's been fantastic to listen to you. I could talk to you all day about it.
Here till midnight. It's such a vast subject. Yeah, we didn't even get on to babies or anything like that, but yeah, there's
no, we'll have to record another episode. Maybe we can talk about babies, and then I'd love to talk to you about yoga as well. So yeah,
May to come to my class, and I'd love to talk about pregnancy yoga, and I do mummy and baby, and also I'm doing a much more in-depth baby course, and I'm going to do this thing called Tree Babies, which is about leading people in nature with carrying babies. I'm quite excited about it, but I don't know if anyone did. But
yeah, that sounds really nice.
I think it's coming out of a lot about connecting to nature and how it makes us feel different, and just getting babies into that quite young. So it's like mindfulness and a little bit of breathing, and it's quite yoga. But we're walking.
You'll have to tell me all about that when you've done it.
Yeah, I'm just about to start that. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I'll make sure I put your details on the podcast episode, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for inviting me. It's lovely.
You're welcome.
Thank you.